Move it, slave. I bill 5 figures an hour. I don't have time for poverty spec repairs.
Wait your turn, Pops.
The morning sun over the industrial district shines on steel beams and cracked sidewalks the same way. It doesn't favor glass over brick. It doesn't bow to cranes. Julian Vane does. Standing outside Apex Builders Supply, Julian smooths the lapel of his $3,000 Italian suit and checks his gold watch with theatrical irritation. He is the mind behind the $50 million Vane Pinnacle Tower. 40 stories of mirrored glass designed to scrape the clouds and erase everything below it. To Julian, the city exists in two categories: architects of the future and debris left behind. In the line behind him sits Elias Thorne in his faded 1998 Chevy Silverado. The paint is chipped, the bumper carries old scars, but the engine hums steady like a lion at rest. Elias's hands rest on the steering wheel, hands that have poured foundations, framed homes, rebuilt blocks that banks once redlined and politicians once called transitional. His father started Thorne & Sons when city planners tried to renew their neighborhood by bulldozing it. Elias isn't just a contractor. He is a keeper of soil. Have you ever noticed how the people with the least to prove are usually the ones holding everything together? Hold that thought. Inside Apex, the line moves slowly. Elias waits patiently for a specialized set of brass fittings. Julian doesn't wait. He strides past 3 contractors and shoulder checks Elias hard enough to shift him half a step. Move it, Pops. I've got a crane crew billing me 5 figures an hour. I don't have time for poverty spec repairs. Several customers glance up. One man looks down quickly. Another subtly lifts his phone. Elias steadies himself. His fittings sit on the counter. There's a line, he says calmly. We're all working. Julian studies him now. Dusty boots, worn denim, dark skin weathered by sun. A living? Julian scoffs. You're a relic. This neighborhood is overdue for correction. Progress requires sacrifice. Some structures collapse so better ones can rise. He smiles thinly. People like you don't build futures. You survive until someone like me designs over you. The manager, Miller, rushes forward. He's sweating. Julian doesn't hesitate. Miller, this man just threatened me. Said he'd handle it in the parking lot. I feel unsafe. Remove him, or I move my account. Silence spreads. Miller avoids Elias's eyes. You've known me 20 years, Elias says quietly. Miller stares at Julian's gold watch. Elias, just go, please. Security approaches. As Elias is escorted out, customers part like curtains. His brass fittings remain on the counter. Julian leans close and whispers, Know your place, boy. My building will be the tombstone for this entire block. By next year, you won't even be allowed to walk this sidewalk. Elias doesn't answer. But his jaw tightens, not in anger, in calculation. What would you do if someone tried to weaponize your own neighborhood against you? Would you shout, or would you start reading the fine print? 3 hours later, Julian stands atop his construction site, surveying steel skeletons reaching skyward. He has leveraged everything: family estate, private equity, high-interest bridge loans. If the pinnacle opens on schedule, he becomes untouchable. If it stalls, the interest alone will bleed him dry. From the trailer window, he sees something that snaps his confidence in half. A black 1998 Silverado is parked across the only access road. Elias sits calmly on the tailgate, sipping coffee from a thermos. Julian storms down. You followed me here? Security! Call the police! Elias doesn't move. He simply lifts a yellow document. I'm not trespassing, he says evenly. I'm on my property. Julian laughs sharply. This is a city road. Was, Elias corrects, until 1924, private utility corridor. When the city tried to seize it in the 70s, my father sued. Won. Julian's smile wavers. That means nothing. Elias tilts his head. Your crane weighs 80 tons. The easement allows residential transit, not commercial construction. Julian's phone buzzes. He ignores it. You're bluffing. The phone buzzes again. He answers. His engineer's voice trembles. They've set up barriers. City inspectors here says we don't have legal heavy access. Julian's pulse quickens. Elias continues gently. And the water line you tapped for your fire suppression system runs under this corridor. My father purchased the water rights for this entire block when no one else saw value here. Julian feels it now, the ground shifting. If you were him in this moment, Elias says calmly, would you double down or finally listen? Julian snarls. I'll buy it, 10 times market. It's not for sale. Elias steps closer. You told me to know my place. This is it. Another call. His lead investor. Julian, we just received notice of permit suspension. Explain. Sweat beads at his temples. My lawyer is filing injunctions, Julian snaps. Elias checks his modest watch. City pulled your permits 30 minutes ago. No legal access, no legal water. Your site is frozen. Julian feels something unfamiliar. Fear. Over the next 48 hours, the collapse unfolds in stages. Investors don't yell, they withdraw. A banker declines to extend credit. A board member resigns. A news article surfaces questioning due diligence. Julian sits alone in his glass office as movers remove artwork and boxed awards. He calls his father's old attorney. No answer. He stares at a scale model of the pinnacle, 40 floors of glass, no foundation of humility. Within weeks, default notices stack higher than blueprints. Because Julian leveraged his family estate, the bank moves swiftly. The Vane mansion lists quietly. The cars disappear first, then the suits, then the office. 1 year later, the unfinished tower sells at foreclosure auction. The buyer is a local community trust, funded quietly by Thorne and Sons. The mirrored glass remains, but the name changes. The Vane Pinnacle becomes the Thorne Center. 200 units of affordable housing rise within its steel bones. A free trade school occupies the first 5 floors. Where Julian once envisioned luxury penthouses, apprentices now learn plumbing, electrical systems, and structural engineering. Children whose families were nearly displaced now train to design their own futures. Julian, he works as a junior clerk for a property management firm. Irony sharpens daily when his company leases parking access from Elias Thorne. He signs invoices bearing the Thorne name. Julian once believed he was the architect of destiny. He forgot something fundamental. Architects draw visions, builders pour foundations, and land remembers who respected it. Elias never shouted, never sued for vengeance. He simply enforced what was already written, because some men build monuments to ego, others own the ground they stand on. From the other side of silence, toss stories, where real voices rise and truth finds its echo. Like, subscribe, because you can't build a future if you don't respect the foundation.